Hello, my name is Craig Tomlinson. I am the manager of the long-term program here at Pennsylvania Adult and Teen Challenge. Today's training or education is going to be on current drug trends. I tell you, I've been in this field for quite a while. I have an education in this field as well. And when I researched the current drug trends in America, I was astonished by the statistics that I found and the data that I found. And it all comes from the National Institute of Drug Abuse and the DEA. So it's evidence-based stuff, and I am just dumbfounded by the statistics that I found. And I'm excited about this training, and I'm excited about sharing it with you all. So some facts is that 37 million suffer from various process addictions, and 22 million suffer from drug and alcohol addictions. Only 10.5% actually get treatment for them, though. 90% of U.S. citizens are experiencing addiction either firsthand or they know of an addict that's a friend or in their family. Every year, abuse of illicit drugs and alcohol contributes to deaths more than 100,000 Americans. According to the NIDA and the National Overdose, deaths rose from 16,847 in 1999 to 70,237 in the year 2017. Let me repeat that. According to the NIDA, drug overdose deaths rose from 16,849 in 1999 to 70,237 in the year 2017. The most common drug types: tobacco, alcohol, marijuana, opioids, stimulants, club drugs, hallucinogens, steroids. And we're going to be getting involved in talking about not only these drugs, but the effect that it has on your health, the effect that it has on your mind, the effect that it has on your loved ones, your family. And not only the drugs are different from the 70s, the 80s, and 90s, but they are so much more potent. And I'm going to give you some statistics about how much more potent the drugs are in the year 2017. Most commonly abused drugs in the U.S.: alcohol, marijuana, heroin, cocaine, methamphetamines, hallucinogens, prescription drugs, painkillers, barbiturates, benzodiazepines. And the routes of administration, the way somebody takes the drug. This is in the order of the effectiveness of the brain. Listen to this. Check this out. Inhaling or smoking, it takes about 7 to 10 seconds to affect the brain. Ejecting, it takes about 15 to 30 seconds for it to affect the brain. Snorting, it takes about 3 to 5 minutes. And ingesting orally, it takes about 20 to 30 minutes. Most commonly abused drugs in the U.S., alcohol. It's celebrated. 75,000 deaths per year in the U.S. from alcohol. 75,000 deaths per year. Marijuana, the gateway drug. Smoked and ingested. Effects last about an hour to several hours. Some health effects, schizoaffective behaviors, demotivational syndromes, loss of testosterone. Heroin, opiates. Pennsylvania's drug of choice. It's snorted, smoked, or injected. Effects usually last about 2 to 6 hours or longer. Estimated 40,000 heroin users in Pennsylvania. 40,000 heroin users in Pennsylvania. Researchers suggest that nearly 34,000 people between the ages of 12 and 17 years old are now trying heroin for the first time each year. As the drug becomes cheaper and more readily available than ever. Cocaine, crack. Snorted, smoked, injected. Effects last about 10 to 20 minutes if it's snorted, and if it's smoked, it actually lasts about 5 to 7 minutes. You know, as I'm reading this and I'm doing this training, I'm overwhelmed. Personally, this has affected me personally, and as I'm reading these statistics and I'm reading the damage and I'm reading the cause of things, I'm getting emotional and I'm getting charged up, because this is what I do, this is what I love to do, and there's nothing more than I want in my life is to help your loved ones handle this addiction, get over the addiction, and move on and be a positive influence in their families, in their communities, their workplaces, to be better fathers, to be better husbands, to be better children, to be better aunts and uncles. This is very emotional, so this is a tough training, and I'm not doing this training to try to intimidate or scare. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to educate, and while I was researching, man, I even started educating myself. So my number one goal is just to educate, just so that we can get a grip on what's going on in the United States. How do we handle it? How do we prevent it? And if it is happening, how do we move forward with it? And how do we stop it? Methamphetamines, smoked, injected, snorted. Some common side effects is meth mouth, the deterioration of the gums, the teeth, the lack of saliva, scabbing, your face, your hands, your arms start itching, causing intense itching, and they scratch it, and that's when the scabbing comes about. Club drugs, the love drugs, synthetic designer drugs. I'm in recovery myself. I've been in recovery for 12 years, and I have 5 children, and my 2 youngest children are in college right now. My son's 21 and my daughter's 18. She's going to be a freshman in college in the fall of 2019. And I gotta tell you, I'm a little scared. I'm a little scared because, I'm not dumb to the world that my kids probably are going to try stuff. If it's drinking, if it's alcohol, if it's marijuana, trying to smoke a joint, trying to smoke a blunt, taking a hit of something, and it just scares me because of who knows what's in it today. Hallucinogens, LSD, mushrooms. It's usually orally. It lasts about 6 to 8 hours or longer. Prescription drugs, opioids, painkillers, depressants, mood stabilizers, stimulants, cough syrup, cough medicine. The effects usually last 2 to 6 hours or longer. It's usually oral, snorted, or injected. I had a birthday party at my house about 4 years ago, and we invited some children over to our house, and we had a young man got really, really ill, violently ill. And I called his parents, and they came over, and we found out that he was drinking Robitussin. He drank 6 Robitussins, and he started vomiting, and we had to take him to the hospital. They called it Robitrippin. These next statistics I was astonished by, and I wanted to share them with you. The National Drug Overdose Deaths. This is from the National Institute on Drug Abuse. In 1999, there were 8,048 opioid deaths. In the year 2017, there were 47,600. Prescription opioids. In 1999, there were 3,442. In the year 2017, there were 17,029. Heroin. In 1999, there was 1,960 deaths. In the year 2017, there were 15,482. Methamphetamines. 1999, 547. 2017, 10,333. Cocaine. There were 3,022 deaths in 1999, and in the year 2017, there's been 13,942. Benzodiazepines. 1999, 1,135. In the year 2017, 11,537. Antidepressants. 1,749 deaths in 1999, and in the year 2017, 5,269 deaths. I want to talk about the current designer drugs. K2, Mojo, Spice. It's not actually marijuana. It's a plant that they spray chemicals on, and people are smoking it and get the same kind of effect as marijuana, but they hallucinate a little bit with it also. I've had a 17-year-old kid who smoked K2 and believed that he could jump out the second floor window because he thought he could fly, and he hit the street below. Bath salts. Intense paranoia, violent, foaming at the mouth, delusional, hallucinations. They teeter drug testing, still legal in some states, banned in Pennsylvania. Packaged to reduce suspicion and appeal to the youth. It's really hard to get a urinalysis test to come up with who's smoking K2, who's taking bath salts, because the tests aren't really made yet. And then once we get a test that is made that can tell if somebody has K2 or bath salts or synthetic drugs in their system, then they change the drugs that affect the urinalysis test, that it's hard again to tell if they're on the drug or not. Uncommonly known drugs. N-bomb, also called legal acid, Smiles, are 251. They are generally found as powders, liquid, soaked in blotted paper like LSD, or laced and sometimes edible. It's more powerful than LSD. Extremely small amounts can cause seizure or heart attacks, or arrested breathing or death. Syrup, purple drank, lean. Drink a prescription strength cough syrup containing codeine and mixed with soda. Codeines and other opioids present with high risk of fatal overdose due to their effect of depressing the central nervous system, which can slow or stop the heart and lungs. Listen, they take this cough syrup, they mix it with soda, and then they mix it with candy. And then that combination is a very powerful drug. I mean, I would eat Jolly Ranchers because I like the taste. I never ever imagined that if you put some cough syrup with some Sprite with some Jolly Ranchers, you're going to come up with a concoction that's going to get you high, hallucinate. I also would like to talk about nicotine vaporing devices. The FDA reports that youth or young adults have experienced seizures from these nicotine vaping devices. Seizures or convulsions are potential side effects of nicotine. Toxicity. These devices are also known to be used to smoke marijuana, K2, spice, fake weed. Another uncommonly known drug, Molly, refers to the pure crystalline powder form of the club. The club drug MDMA produces energy, euphoria in users, but also may dangerously affect body temperature, cause convulsions, depression, and sleep problems. The concoctions of all these drugs, hundreds of Molly capsules were tested, and bath salts were commonly found in the Molly themselves. The highest rise in abuse. NIDA reports in the year 2010, approximately 16 million Americans reported using prescribed drugs for non-medical reasons. In 2013, reported an 11% increase in related overdose deaths since the year 2012, the highest increase in death of any drugs within a year's time, up 53% since the year 2012. It's falsely interpreted as a medically safe high. Recent evidence suggests that trends to groom the path for heroin use and addiction. I've had years of experience working in the field of addiction and working in treatment facilities. And I had a patient one time who was a decorated Marine that served in Afghanistan on 3 or 4 tours. He hurt his back in Afghanistan. He returned home and he was on painkillers, prescribed medicine. And he was on them painkillers for a period of time and then was taken off the pain medicine. And before you know it, he was in a drug and alcohol treatment facility for heroin. It's very, very difficult and very hard to just get somebody, give them painkillers, give them pain medicine, and then say, okay, we're not giving you this anymore, when the withdrawal is so powerful that they'll do anything to get that physical illness away from them. That's why we see the rise in the age. You know, I'm seeing more 40-year-old, 50-year-old, even early 60-year-old men and women coming into drug and alcohol facilities on heroin who have never done heroin before in their life. But using these pain medications and then getting taken off of these pain medications, heroin is cheaper, it's more readable, and it's just easier for them to use to help with the pain and the withdrawal of the medication. Here are some withdrawal symptoms, right? Some cold shakes, chills and sweating, fever-like symptoms, mood swings, anxiety and depression, bone pain, vomiting, diarrhea, can't sleep at night, up all night long. I had a family member call me one time and asked me to come down to their house because another family member was withdrawing from heroin. So when I walked into the home, the young lady was literally pulling the hair out of her head and banging her head against the wall because she couldn't take the withdrawal of the heroin, and she needed it more than anything, and she was going to get it more than anything, and nothing was going to stop her. So we took her to the hospital, and we got her into treatment, thank God. But the withdrawal symptoms are really, really powerful and really difficult, and that's a lot of the reasons why I see, people not wanting the treatment. Not only that they can't get the treatment or the treatment's not available to them, but to go through the process. That's why it's really, really important to have their loved ones empower them and encourage them and give them hope and just keep on motivating them. We love you. You're doing a great job. We're proud of you. That's going to help get them through the withdrawal symptoms. The most dangerous withdrawal, alcohol. Alcohol is very dangerous. Tissue dependency, wet brain. All right. The wet brain person acts much like an Alzheimer's victim. With loss of memory, disorientation. With regards to time, place, confusion. Symptoms include mental disturbances, confusion, drowsiness. Their eyes are paralyzed, their eye movement, coordination. Benzodiazepines, often fatal if not detoxed with medical assistance. Very few, check this out, listen to this. Very few deaths have ever been reported and directly related to withdrawal from other drugs, heroin, and etc. But alcohol and benzodiazepines, it's a tough one. That's a tough one to withdraw from. I wanted to throw this in with some current drug trends. I wanted to talk about carfentanil, right? The potency of carfentanil is 10,000 times more than that of morphine. Let me repeat that. The potency of carfentanil is 10,000 times more than that of morphine. It's a sedative or anesthesia for large animals, including elephants. Synthetic opioids called gray death or pink. The contents are several potent opioids, including whatever, listen to this, whatever a drug dealer has at hand. Its content has several potent opioids, and including whatever the drug dealer has at hand. It usually comes from the Gulf Coast or China. U-47700 was developed in the 1970s and has 7.5 times the potency of morphine. It was not used medically, but used in research. It is now used in multiple illegal drugs today. I want to briefly talk about the medical consequences of drug abuse, HIV, hepatitis, and other infectious diseases, cardiovascular effects, respiratory effects, musculoskeletal effects, kidney damage, liver damage, neurological effects, mental health effects, hormonal effects, cancer, prenatal effects. I just want to talk briefly on carfentanil, fentanyl. So, what's happening right now in the trends of drug abuse is drug dealers are actually trying to make it the cheapest, easiest way to get it to the addict so that they can make the most money possible. They're not interested in the death, the health, the loved ones, the families, the consequences of the addict. They're there to make money and get it as fast as they possibly can. So rather than hire all these people to do their dirty work, for them to bring carfentanil and fentanyl, it's a lot easier for them. And what they're doing now is for medications out there now, pills that are out there now, oxys, Vicodins, Percs, what they're doing is they're putting fentanyl and carfentanil in these tablets that look exactly like the pills of oxys, Vicks, and Perkinins. I've seen this TV show, and they had pharmaceutical people there, and they were asking them to tell the difference between the oxy, the fake oxy, the Percs, and the Vicodins, and the real ones from a pharmaceutical company. And some of them were able to pick them out, but some of them weren't able to pick them out. Some of them actually picked out the false oxys, Vicks, and Percs. So it's really hard to tell the difference. So you can go out there and you think that you're going to get some oxys, some Percs, and some Vicodins, and they're filled with fentanyl and carfentanil. And you find yourself either thoroughly addicted or you find yourself dying. I watched the show The Doctors. And I like to watch shows, and I like to try to educate myself the best I can on the field of addiction and drug trends and what drugs are out there and what's going on out in the real world with drugs. And a doctor came on, and he put 6 packs of Sweet and Low up on the table. He said if them 6 packs were filled with carfentanil, it could potentially kill up to 250,000 people. I did some research on it. I wasn't sure about it, and I was like, wow. It has the potential. It's so powerful that it has the potential. Remember, I just said that it's 10,000 times more potent than morphine. 10,000 times more potent than morphine. And what they're doing with this drug now is they're putting it in every other drug to make it more potent. They're putting it in cocaine. They're putting it in heroin. They're putting it in oxys, Vikes, and Percocets. They're putting it in marijuana. They're lacing marijuana now with carfentanil and fentanyl so that you get higher. It's really scary. The drug trends are really scary because all that they're doing is making it more potent, more potent, more potent, more potent, because the drug use has made the brain so damaged that they need the most potent drugs out there in order to get that good feeling of that euphoria that they want to feel, or the high that they're chasing, or they've been chasing. See, you're never going to experience the high like you have experienced the very first time. You never will experience that again. And all you're going to do from that point forward is keep on chasing that high. And right now, people are becoming so addicted to the fentanyl, the carfentanyls, the U47700s, that it's literally more powerful. I can't get this through my head, for some reason. 10,000 times more potent than morphine. 7.5 times more powerful than morphine. And people are smoking it, ejecting it, snorting it. And I'm just astonished by it. I'm very concerned for my own children. I'm concerned for the people who are addicts and are trying to seek help, because it's becoming more and more difficult for treatment facilities to help individuals who are, addicted to fentanyl. And what we're trying to do is try to use this medication to help bring them down from them withdrawals so that they can become stable enough to get into a short-term program, right? So we try to get them into a detox program to try to stabilize them, to get them into a short-term program. And after that 28-day program, we pray and we hope that they get into a long-term program, because scientific evidence-based practice says that the best probability to get into recovery and remain in recovery is 12-month treatment. Whatever is damaged in the brain will heal after 12 months, and whatever is unhealable at that point will most likely be damaged for the rest of your life. But being in treatment for 12 months is going to give you the best probability to get into recovery and to remain in recovery. I hope this was beneficial to you. I hope it was educational for you. This really, really meant a lot to me, personally and professionally. I truly wasn't aware of. Now, don't get me wrong. I understand and I do get that the drug trends are a lot more powerful drugs than back in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s. And the drug abuse and overdoses have increased dramatically. I mean, in the state of Pennsylvania alone, it's just mind-boggling to me how many people are dying on a daily basis, a weekly basis, or a monthly basis, or a yearly basis. It's truly an epidemic, and I have hope, and I believe that through God and Jesus Christ that we can help these young men and women to develop a relationship with the Lord, to bring their pride and their dignity and their worth back, to instill hope in them so that they can become better men, they can become better husbands, better fathers, better children, better aunts, better uncles, better wives, and be more productive in society in general. to be a light in such a dark place, so that when they graduate Pennsylvania Adult and Teen Challenge in 12 months, they go out into this dark world and they become light to show that, listen, all things are possible. All things are possible. All things are possible. And I'm just truly blessed to work at Pennsylvania Adult and Teen Challenge and see these men come in through a detox program, through a short-term program, through a long-term program, walk across that stage, graduate the program, and I get so excited to hear about their future and what's going on. A lot of our students call me or send me something to let me know their progress, and it's very successful. And there are a lot of men who left our program who are just wonderful people in their community, and they're giving back not only to their families but to their workplaces, their communities, and to the schools, and to the field of addiction itself. So I hope this training and education was beneficial for you. God bless, and have a wonderful day.